is part 3 of my Outwitting the Devil book review for entrepreneurs or just anybody who's looking to better in themselves. If you haven't seen part 1 or 2, I will leave the link in the description box below. And in this video, I'm going to go over hypnotic rhythm. Oh boy. In this part of the book, Napoleon Hill asks the devil to describe to him what is hypnotic rhythm, because the devil just got finished saying how he uses, right after he could get somebody to drift and get into the habit of drifting, they fall in line into a hypnotic rhythm state in which the devil says that it's hard to get out of once it becomes permanent. So he says, nature has a balance. And this is what the devil uses to get people to drift into a hypnotic state. He uses what he says, the universal law of gravity, which keeps everything bound to earth. He uses that like, it's like a whirlpool. So once he gets somebody into this whirlpool of his web, it's hard to get out. I don't know if that makes sense, but how this hypnotic rhythm all works. He describes it as music. So, say like you're starting to learn a song. The first thing you're going to do is memorize the notes. And after you memorize the notes, you get familiar with the melody and the rhythm. And once you get the rhythm down packed, it starts becoming repeated over and over in your head. And once you practice through repetition, it becomes fixated in the mind to where the song becomes second nature to you. And it is now mastered. So any thought that you think about over and over and over again, it becomes so fixed in your mind that you are now in a hypnotic state, just like learning a song. So yeah, once you're in a hypnotic rhythm-like state, it's hard to shake out of. And you can see it in everyday life. Like you may have some friends or maybe your parents or maybe your aunts and uncles, cousins, whoever. They do the same thing over and over and get the same results every time. And you even see it on social media. This is why, getting back on YouTube, I wanted to make sure to be careful of what videos I put out, because you could get so trapped in talking about certain topics. Like, for instance, the whole men versus women and conservatives and liberals. And what else can I think of? Trends that serve no purpose, and people like follow them and try to get different results, and they get the same results over and over. Colorism topics. With that, it's like, it's good to put out awareness, but it's like these people tend to complain and complain and complain and blame another group for whatever reason, instead of trying to come up with solutions that can help their cause, or I don't know, try to heal or unify with the other group instead of promoting hate and complaints all the time. So me, I'm just like, I don't want to get caught up in all that. So it's, if anything, I would at least try to come up with solutions or something other than just complaining about it, and it's the same complaints over and over again and nothing gets solved. That's just all it is. Now this book goes even deeper, and I don't think I'm gonna talk about certain things from the book on here. You're just gonna have to read it. But for right now, my advice to getting out of a hypnotic rhythm state, if you feel like you're in that state, which we all feel that. And this is why every year I go back and read this book, because I remember the first time I've read it and I felt like I got some stuff out of it. Maybe a few weeks to a month later, I was getting back into the same hypnotic state that I was in. And I remember a time that I just kept walking by my desk and seeing this book. And I kept seeing it and seeing it. And then eventually I just picked it up again. Because obviously I still didn't learn enough from this book. Because I'm making the same mistakes over and over. And once I started reading this book repeatedly, I just started snapping out of certain things. So that's why I read this book every year. Not to be like obsessed with it, but it's just a reminder to focus on important tasks rather than drifting off into things that has no purpose. So to get back to my point, my top 3 advice for people who feel like they're in that state or just drifting, trying to figure it out. 1, need to surround yourself by people who will help snap you out of the state that you're in. Like maybe you have a family member who's very ambitious that you look up to. Maybe you have some mentors in your life. Maybe friends that can help you out, or even if you're in a relationship. And this is a problem. A lot of people get into relationships that doesn't serve them whatsoever. I feel like a lot of people get into relationships to avoid being like lonely or being the only one that's not in a relationship, which is, I mean, I can understand, but you know, I'm gonna be very nice on here, so I can understand. But it is good to be in a relationship where it's harmonious. Like what the devil says, you want to be in a relationship that is in harmony. The second advice is to have self-discipline. No one's gonna help you grow better than yourself. A lot of people are in their own world because we all have our own problems. So the only person that's capable to help you get out of your funk or whatever it is that you're in is to have self-discipline with yourself. You have to have enough care for yourself to even develop self-discipline. My third advice that I will give to you is to change your environment or switch it up. Change your environment, switch it up, and re-educate yourself. And from there, that will help you get out of a hypnotic rhythm like state. My last tip, which is a bonus tip, is to try not to be crazy once you snap out of this hypnotic rhythm like state and you're no longer drifting. Then again, I wouldn't say no longer, because you can drift into things that are more positive than negative, which is another thing that the devil explains in this book, because there's no escaping drifting. There's no escaping. But it's good to be aware when you are drifting into things that are not good for you. So, like I said, try not to go crazy because you might end up being the nutcase in the crew. And it's always good to have some downtime to just chill and hang out and do things that are just that has nothing to do with growth or being successful. But the problem is people do that all the time. They're always on chill mode. They're always laid back, lazy, whatever. Nobody's really working on being successful or working towards their goals. If anything, they try it for like one day and then quit. So you don't want to be that. So I will say have downtime, but mix it in with things that are going to help you to bettering yourself or growing or whatever it is that you got planning in your life. I hope that made sense because I'm trying, y'all. Like, I really am. Get this book, super helpful. It helped me out, and I know it can help someone like you out.